Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Again, stop making it so easy.
You know, it's you and I, we have this practice of, listen, we want the audience to know. We should have some sad music playing here, or some serious music. We work very hard. We're always working, big stories going on. There's a lot going on, and we're going to get to other stories. But you're right. We walk in, and it's stuff that's just handed to us. I guess some people get free catering or something, and our benefit is the Democrats. Because we walk in and go, okay, here we go.
No, and you're right, because we do work. I mean, I know both you and I have paying attention to the Supreme Court ruling, not ruling, but the Supreme Court hearings yesterday, which got to be pretty funny. What's the definition of a day? Because, whether mail-in ballots should be able to be taken in later on that day. And that argument, is very easy. So, we do our research and everything else, but that's become normal.
Right.
Because I've been doing it for over half a century now. Mm-hmm. I've always read. I've always been fascinated with politics, even though I didn't want to be a talk show host initially. I always paid attention to it. And so even if I decided to retire tomorrow, which I am not, I would still be reading.
Right.
And my fear is that if I ever retire, that my mind's going to blow up. It's going to be like scanners, because there's going to be so much information and nowhere to put it out. But besides that, which is not work anymore.
Right.
It's just so natural. I've done it so many, we're closing in. I think we're very close. I'm very close to 10,000 shows in my life.
Yeah. Oh.
I think. Yeah. And I believe we're both close to 45 to 50,000 hours of doing this. So, and that's on the air. And if you look, you're doing much more research. So you probably, I would say, we could be comfortable in saying you and I have done 100,000 hours of show prep in our life. Because we've probably done. You probably do twice as much. But the fact is, it's not work, because you're so used to doing it. I mean, I wake up as soon as
I'll still be doing this if I ever retire.
Yeah. I wake up in the morning, and so I grab the phone. The phone's right next to me. I grab the phone, and in 3 or 4 minutes, I have an idea of what the day's going to be like, and then it may change an hour from then. But I'm constantly. I can't go 20 minutes without looking at my phone to see what. Even if I don't get an update on my phone, I can't go 20 minutes without updating. Okay, is this anything on this story? Anything on this story? Anything on? But that's become that's normal. So it's not work,
right?
And so, you and I can both look and say, okay, here are the day stories out there. Okay, let's search for these, audio cuts, whatever. And but we can do that in our mind because we've done it so many times. So that's not work. Right. But then when it comes down to it, we can do all that stuff, and then you see one audio cut or 2 or 3 audio cuts from the Democrats during the day, and you're like, well, it's just too easy. For all the show prep we did yesterday, all I got to do is play this and go home.
Yeah, this is it. I mean,
all I got to do is play.
You were playing it in the pre-show meeting, and it was like, well, okay, that was easy. That was the pre-show meeting.
Because one of our narratives have been over the past couple of weeks, and this is after Bernie Sanders, and then Gavin Newsom came out and said, we don't know how to find our birth certificates. We just don't know. And what was it yesterday? It had to be yesterday. There was something else that was said that it wasn't on the same topic, but it was like, oh, okay, they're playing dumb again.
Yeah.
And we've always talked about the fact that if you look at liberalism, which the Democratic Party is, and the wacko liberalism today is a Democratic Party. There are no moderate Democrats.
Right.
They're just not. They may pretend that they're moderate, but they're not. They're as radical as you can possibly get. And so they've been playing the victor-oppressor relationship for the longest time. They've looked, okay, we got to find more victims. We got to find people that are oppressed, victims, and then the oppressors of those people. And we've stated that the basic concept of a political party in a free society is to unite people.
Yeah.
That has to be what you're doing. You have to unite people behind, certain values. You cannot keep, just cutting more pieces of the pie of victims, because then you get more oppressors.
Yeah.
And we give the perfect example is the radical transgender movement, where you have the women's movement had to completely shut down. Completely. There is no women's movement on the left anymore. It's gone.
Right.
And it was because they would have been the oppressors.
Right.
And
if it's anywhere, it's on the right. Fighting for women's spots on sports teams.
Exactly. And so you had people like Martina Navratilova, who was viewed as a hero because she came out, 45 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
And she was viewed as a hero. Now she's viewed as an oppressor.
Right.
And we said, you can't do that. You just can't keep doing that. You can't. You take that and you combine it with identity politics, where you judge people by groups and not individuals, and you end up alienating people.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point eventually, and I will say this, I never thought that the Democratic Party would get to the point of insanity as we have seen on so many issues. I never thought you'd have a major political party outright say we don't need border enforcement anymore, as they're doing right now. That they don't want ICE.
Right. I think the two audios cuts that we played yesterday along this line were Mayor Fry and Jeffries. And I think it was both on TSA, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Where Jeffries came out and said, "Well, just hire more TSA agents." Yeah. They're not getting paid, you idiot.
Do you understand what's going on?
Yeah, that was it. And so we've come up with this narrative after Bernie Sanders came out and went, I don't know how to find my birth certificate. And Gavin Newsom, I don't know how to find my birth certificate. Yeah. We went, wow.
There's got to be a memo.
They got burned on the identity politics.
Yeah.
Both of them did.
Yeah.
They got burned, and so did many Democrats on saying, well, married women don't have the ability to do it, and blacks and other minorities just, don't know how to get their birth certificate.
Right.
And then you got immediate pushback from many blacks and many many women, because if you look at the polling, they all want voter ID and they all know how to find their birth certificates. Yeah. And so they're like, stop being racist. So they had to find, we've got to find some other way to go. Where do we go here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Right. We'll be as stupid as the people that vote for us.
Yes.
We'll be the leaders of the party. We'll be the media leaders. And we'll say, we don't know how to find our birth certificate either. So we're the stupid idiots leading the stupid idiots. So we're all victims because we're all stupid. We're all incompetent. And the oppressor are the Republicans that apparently all know how to find their birth certificates, and independents and everybody else, if you look at the polling.
Well, I'm waiting for them to say, listen, if you know how to find your birth certificate, you're clearly MAGA.
Well,
I'm waiting for that next.
Here we go. Joe Scarborough. Okay, this is Joe Scarborough on with Mike Barnacle and Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
Now, the two others, I don't know who the other guy is sitting in there, and Mika just sits there with a blank look on her face.
Uh-huh.
But you have Joe Scarborough, Mike Barnacle, and Chuck Schumer now. All have no idea how to find their birth certificates. Here we go. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I heard. I'm like, no, this has to be. Is this artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
Nope. Here we go. All right.
What about voter ID, Mike?
Let me ask you a question. Could you find your birth certificate?
No, I couldn't.
Could you find your
It's
birth
ridiculous.
certificate today?
And it's required. This is, Trump said it. He said, this is the way I win. He knows he's getting killed.
It's
on
to
costs,
bag an election.
It's to bag, it's to cheat
Yeah.
and steal the election in.
Yeah. Having a birth certificate is to steal an election.
That's right.
Having voter ID.
Yeah.
But none of them know how to find their birth certificate. So the whole point is Chuck Schumer saying, I'm an idiot leading idiots.
Yes.
Joe Scarborough is saying, I'm an idiot in the media that is trying to attract other idiots out there to watch my show, and Mike Barnacle the same thing. They're all a bunch of idiots who don't know how to do simple tasks.
And they immediately turned to Trump, so they almost did what I joked about a moment ago. This is all about Trump, and basically saying, if you know, well, I don't know how to, we don't know how to, this is, and Trump with all of his birth certificate finders, these deplorable birth certificate finders, they almost connected it.
Yeah.
Because they immediately turned it to Trump.
Yep.
This is all about Trump and blah, 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 blah. And none of us can, and I'm waiting for them to look into the camera. I'm waiting for Scarborough. It needs to do the F you if you can't handle the truth. Hey, liberals, F you if you can find your birth certificate.
And
I'm waiting for him to do something.
And we just keep finding more. It's almost as if, okay, this is acceptable. We can all pretend we don't know how to find our birth certificates. Now, the fact is they do.
Of course they can.
Of course they know how to find their birth certificates because they've had to get to the position where they had and security clearances and everything that you've had to do in your life at one time or another. You have to find your birth certificate.
Yes.
License in most states, enhanced license. You look at all these things that you need to get.
Do you have a current license? Do you have a? Have you ever? You and I have both been screened by the Secret Service in our years in doing this because we were covering presidential nominees. We were covering campaigns.
FBI.
And if you're going to get access, then you go through a special screening, FBI screening on.
FBI I got for going up with the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
When I went up with the Thunderbird, I got both the Treasury Department, which is the Treasury Department is the Secret Service, Treasury Department, and also FBI, in order to go up in the. And then when I covered Dole and Jack Kemp when I was working in Buffalo, and their first rally was right there. I had to go down to the FBI office.
Yeah,
I had to go down, and then, I was ask questions, whatever. And
for me, it was Dan Quayle. Wow. Holy cow.
So yeah, and then plus everything else. So they're lying to you. They know how to find their birth certificates.
Yeah.
Well, it's either, I'll give the bet. Since we don't know, we can tell you that it's one of two things. Either they truly are complete idiots and don't know how to do basic tasks in life, which means Chuck Schumer should not have risen to the level that he's risen. Joe Scarborough should not have risen to the lower level that he has risen to.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Barnacle, the same thing. Or they're lying to you.
Right.
And the whole thing, and we know they're lying.
But do these people have, I mean, I know some of them, they fly private, they have, other means of transportation. But if you're flying commercial, do you have pre-pass? Do you go through, because the screening, we know the screening process there.
Yeah, pre-check.
We know they travel. They have passports.
Well, I look at it, my enhanced license, my TSA pre-check, my passport, all those things. You had to prove that you were a citizen. Remember, they still do it anymore. I've worked here for so long. I believe when I got this job originally, I had to prove that I was an American citizen. Remember that?
I told them to do that. That was kind of a joke. No.
Not this.
No,
originally when I got hired.
For me, it was. I had to have a copy of. They had to make a copy of my license and Social Security card.
Was that it? Is that how they knew you were? Then they checked to see if you were a citizen.
Yeah.
Because I remember the thing was you had to prove you were a citizen to get the job, because that was the point.
And I don't think HR does that anymore. In fact, Social Security will tell you if you've lost your card. In most cases, you don't have to have it. You just need to know your number. But I will tell you, with my wife being so involved in HR systems, the computer systems where you go to check your pay stub and all that, she will tell you that a lot of people can't remember their Social Security number. I wonder if Chuck Schumer can remember his Social Security number. But you have to prove who you are when you're going to get paid.
The whole point,
that's the thing is that if
the
you're
whole point of that law in the 90s was you had to prove you were a citizen to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get paid, your Social Security number has to be reported.
Well, yeah, that's a given anyway.
That's all of that you have to have. In fact, I know exactly where mine is. I know exactly where my birth certificate is. I know where my documents are. You know what, Gary? I did this thing. I went to a store where they sell they're called file cabinets for the liberals out there. File cabinets. Just write that down. File, separate word, cabinets. And you put folders in the folders.
Right. But the point is not...
You put your papers in there.
That's not the point they're bringing up. The point they're bringing up is they don't have...
That's what I'm saying. This is absurd. Right, everybody knows how to do this.
Right. They don't have they don't have it in their files.
That's my point.
They don't know how to find their birth certificates, which is very easy. What hospital... Good God. By the time I was 5, 6 years old, it was pounded into me where I was born.
Yeah. Of course.
What hospital I was born in, what county, in what city.
Everybody knows how to find it. And by the way, if you don't, you can Google it.
And what was it? 50 years later is when I didn't have a copy of my birth certificate. I forgot what it was for. And I simply went, oh, okay, go to the records department of the city of Buffalo, New York. Or some people have it if they're in a particular smaller town. You go to the county.
Yeah, I was born on an Air Force base, so for me, I don't know if that's the case with the county I was born in, but that is the case for me. I have to go to the county.
It's very simple to do it. I had to get a couple copies a year ago.
Yeah,
and I did it online. Boom. Next couple of days. Boom. Had my birth certificate.
Yeah, the point is everybody knows how to do it. Everybody keeps, and if you don't. You got a phone, you can Google it.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I know.
In fact, they're going out of their way. They're being stupider than they are trying to portray themselves, if that's possible.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so we had to play that audio cut, and we're saving all of these audio cuts of Democrats and seeing how many now are going to continue to try to convince the public. I mean, think about this. They've workshopped this. They sat around.
Yeah.
You had.
It's a great point.
You had people that, and cause I love talking about this part of it. That whenever something comes like this, when you start seeing it, it's like. They're workshopping this.
When it's a trend.
Right. They believe it's working. This is a trend. They've actually, brought consultants and said, look, you cannot be telling your constituents that agree with something that you disagree with that they don't have the ability to do it when they're minorities and women.
Right.
Now, we can only do that. Maybe to women we can because, of course, we're total misogynists and sexist in the radical transgender movement, but you can't get away with it with minorities. Mm-hmm. So just pretend you're as stupid as you claim they are.
Exactly.
And that's our plan for reviving the Democratic Party. We are the party of idiots leading our constituency of idiots.
Right.
Our constituents of idiots.
Yep.
It's like, what?
That's exactly
God's world.
On our website, rediradioshow.com, show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right. So, remember we said about a week ago, this is what we think will happen to open up DHS. We weren't fully correct on it. We were close. What we said was the Republicans, I said, what I suspect is something like this, that the Republicans would say, all right, we're going to fund everything else except TSA because it's already funded.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Democrats would eventually come around and say, all right, see, none of us voted to fund TSA even though they're funded anyway.
Yeah.
That's not what Republicans say. It's very close. But what Republicans are saying, according to Politico, and Senator Katie Britt yesterday told reporters, yes, we do. Senate Republicans met with Trump and believe they found a path to ending the shutdown. Now, what the plan is, I will say it is in the spirit of what we said, right?
It is. Yeah.
What they believe, what they're going to do is they're going to say, all right, Democrats will give you what you need. We'll compromise. There will be parts of ICE that we will not fund. And so they will pass the bill. And then after they pass the bill, Republicans through reconciliation will bring that money back to ICE and give it to ICE.
Okay.
So what you're doing, the pitch, according to two people with knowledge of it, was to pass a funding bill that would fund all of Department of Homeland Security except specific parts of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is already funded under last year's GOP mega bill. Graham told colleagues on the Senate floor after the meeting that the president is now open to a new party line reconciliation bill after rejecting that idea over the weekend. Senator John Kennedy said that could give Republicans a path to pass more ICE funding if they can muster the votes. A second person with knowledge of the discussions also said that a new reconciliation bill was a possibility after the White House meeting, though Senate Republicans have been cool to the idea given the uphill climb it would be to unite their members. The House and the White House are behind the bill. The Republicans are looking at using reconciliation to pass more ICE funding as well as parts of their partisan GOP elections bill. Now, they don't say here that they're going to claw back on it, though. You would think that word would be there, right?
Yeah, right.
The White House did not respond to a request for comment. Republicans caution that nothing is official until Trump backs it publicly. Mm-hmm. But the GOP colleagues involved in the DHS negotiations sounded increasingly confident that they would soon have a deal in hand. Not going to get into the details, but I'm more optimistic that by the end of the week we'll fund the Department of Homeland Security, Senate Appropriations Chair Susan Collins said. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, hope so, when he was asked Monday night whether a deal was in hand. Now, the interesting thing is that because are they going to allow a clawback on money that was already appropriated through 2029 and then pass it again through reconciliation? Or the way the story's written, I would assume that was going to happen, but when I actually read the story from Politico, it never says they're going to claw back. It says Trump just wants more spending for ICE. Which is it? I'm not clear.
Yeah.
But it is in the spirit of what we said would probably happen last week.
Yeah, it's a kind of a bit of a sleight of hand kind of thing, shell game, move it around over here for a minute, and it's going to get done. I've felt all along it's going to get done. It's just how angry are you going to let people get it in the TSA lines during spring break? I think the Democrats wanted this during spring break. We're coming to the end of spring break season, and I think it's now, okay. There's really not much more because now you're affecting business travel anyway. But, it's going to be, I think they wanted to make the statement. Now you've got Mark Wayne Mullen. He's in, and everything is done. And I think this was, as it always is with the left, a show.
Let me read it here specifically. Their pitch, according to two people with knowledge of it, was to pass a funding bill that would fund all of DHS except specific parts of immigration and customs enforcement, which is already funded under last year's GOP mega bill. Mm-hmm. Well, that sentence alone says, well, you're trying to pass something that the Democrats won't pass. So are they clawing back on the money?
Right.
Or are the Democrats completely collapsing? Well, the Democrats weren't involved in this negotiation. It was Senate Republicans with the president. And nowhere in here does it say claw back.
Yeah.
I'm going to check thehill.com to see if
Well, I'm reading a story at thehill.com.
They say claw back?
And, well, no, I didn't see that. I haven't seen that yet in this, but you have Thune saying, the Senate Majority Leader, talking about the idea of passing the Save America Act through budget reconciliation on March 10th. And he said they've looked at that, but it's it's not, there's no easy way to do it. So the question is, are they trying to, or is there a, I don't know, reconciliation is going to be basically the Hail Mary, and the Democrats already know that they can get it done? Now, the question would be is, do they have 51? Do they have enough GOPers on board to get that done? I don't know about the Save America Act, but if you're talking about DHS funding, certainly.
Well, the thing is, when the president said that, I said politically, I went, well, no. Get the funding done and let the SAVE Act stand alone, because you've got a massive majority on that bill to begin with.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Senate Republicans told Trump that they would also attempt to pass elements of the Save America Act, which Trump has called his number one legislative priority, in the follow-up reconciliation bill. I think we showed him that we can run a parallel process where we can fund DHS now and have a second reconciliation bill that would put a down payment on some of the Save America Acts, said a person familiar with the meeting.
And Kennedy said, now this goes back a ways, but Kennedy's on record as saying, the easiest way to get the Save America Act is the most efficient way, he said, is to try and do it through reconciliation. But again, as Thune says, it's threading the needle here. How much can they actually fit into it and still, keep their 51?
I love this. This made me laugh. Graham, however, Lindsey Graham was tight-lipped about the prospect. This is from thehill.com. About the prospects of whether Trump would agree to break up the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to reopen the Transportation Security Administration and other critical agencies such as FEMA and the Coast Guard. We'll see what happens, he said. I'm not going to say any more, so leave me alone. That's in quotes. Leave me alone. It goes, when they suggested setting aside funding for ICE to allow the rest of... I don't know what that means. They're not using the word claw back.
Yeah.
That's the key. Because then Democrats, if you said we're clawing back this money from ICE...
Well, but if the Democrats already know that this is just a reconciliation play, and the GOP is going to do it anyway through reconciliation...
They're just trying... They're trying to get a victory now, and then if the Republicans do it, say there's nothing we can do about it. But they don't say clawing back. That's the key to it all. Democrats would have to have claw back in there, right?
Yeah, right.
You would think that's, Or maybe not. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. I think with Mark Wayne Mullen in, I think they wanted to get his confirmation done clearly. But now that is pretty much done, here's what I'm wondering. You saw the thing that went down at San Francisco Airport at SFO.
Yes.
All right. So there was the ICE had been targeting somebody who had deportation orders going back at some time, and it wasn't just a random screening and they found somebody. They actually were looking for that person. And then there was a show, basically, because you had people filming this and asking the agents their name and badge number and everything else. And it actually, again, turned out that there were deportation orders that went back I think, a couple of years. But they had deportation orders for this individual. And so the liberals made this to be a big show. I think they want that show to go on a few more days.
Well, this is brought up. That was before ICE, to help TSA
exactly.
was even brought in. And as far as I know, they weren't brought into San Francisco.
No.
Because San Francisco doesn't need the help. But this is,
right.
Again, understand what this is about. Democrats are attempting to inconvenience people who are paying through their tickets for security. As we mentioned yesterday, you're paying in your ticket for it. They're trying to make your life, when you travel, a living hell to protect illegal immigrant criminals.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
And as we know, they're trying to use the two instances where the two people who were killed because they were obstructing law enforcement.
Yeah.
They weren't innocent people.
Right.
The Democrats, you MS Now and even on CNN, they're just, we're just as bad as Iran.
No. Absolutely not.
And that's why, even if you come to a deal, you need to be saying it over and over again, that Democrats want your life to be a living hell because they wish to protect illegal immigrant criminals over law-abiding and innocent citizens of the United States.
Yep.
They're still not doing it to my satisfaction. They should be out everywhere. That should be part of the... Look, if the Democrats get on a talking point, hey, we're idiots. We don't know how to get our birth certificate, and that keeps expanding.
Yeah.
We're idiots, and we don't know how to do it. We're the leaders of the party of idiots representing the people of the United States that are also idiots, that we accuse of being idiots. Now, understand, we are not calling them idiots. That's what the Democratic Party leadership and on MS Now, on the Joe Scarborough show, they're promoting. We're idiots leading idiots.
Yes.
We're the idiot media
that's
that
the memo.
The idiots watch.
Those are the talking points. GOP. Be the smart ones.
So I don't know if this is clawback or Trump wanted more funding in this bill for ICE than is already appropriated. That hasn't been made clear in either article. And it's just amazing that both the Hill and Politico, nobody uses, they would claw back the money that was already that was already passed in order to get the Democrats to agree to this and then put it back in reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
The word clawback is not used.
Right.
So I still don't know where we are here.
Right.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I even went to AI to see what I could get from there, which scans all the different articles, and nowhere can I find the word clawback. The only thing I find in AI is that Republicans do not want to claw back what they already passed.
Right,
but this
right.
may be the articles were before today's maybe deal with Senate Republicans and the president, and they talk about the president in the DHS wants more funding for ICE.
Yeah.
So is that where they're going to compromise on?
Well,
I don't know, and who knows? Really, a deal between the Senate Republicans and the president means nothing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean anything.
Right. Yeah.
And what do Democrats want? And we don't know specifically what they want, except those that are screaming, "Get rid of ICE completely."
Yeah.
Or make it so they can't make arrests inside the country, which is defunding ICE.
Basically.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi. I just got to hear somewhere. I got this.
Man,
so
I
many
can't
stories.
find my birth certificate. Where did it go?
I'm looking for my. I don't know.
I was trying to find my butt the other day, and I was using both hands.
Wait. I'm gonna go in a different direction.
You choose to go in a different direction.
What is that? What does that red light mean at the intersection? I can't find my birth certificate. What is that? I'll just go to Star. Remember the movie Starman?
Yeah.
Remember when the light turns yellow and he speeds through?
Yeah.
And she screams at the alien who was driving. Who was Jeff Bridges, right?
Yeah. Right.
And screams, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He goes, "I paid attention to what you did."
Yeah, right.
Red is stop. Green is go. Yellow is accelerate.
Yeah, go faster.
Go faster.
Yeah. I was sitting at a stop sign one time, and I was probably really tired. I wasn't drunk. I don't drink and drive. But I was sitting at a stop sign, and my wife was in the car with me, and we're sitting at the stop sign, and I'm apparently, because I'm sitting there a while, not waiting for cars, I'm waiting for the stop sign to turn green. I'm sitting there. Barb goes, "Are you going to go?" And I said, honey, I'm trying to read this sign. I point up to the stop sign. I'm trying to read this sign. I don't know what it means. But I was just kind of in a daze. I was out of it. I was so tired. But yeah, these are clearly the talking points for the Democrats. Listen, we're stupid. People are stupid. Let's be stupid like the people. Let's be the common folks. Because they're stupid, let's pretend to be stupid.
Yeah. And so because they're stupid, they can say anything and just say, "Look, we're the party of stupid."
Yeah.
And our opposition are those Republicans who think they know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know how to find their birth certificate.
Right.
Those damn elitists. They know how to find
Those
their birth certificate.
deplorables.
We don't know. We're victims here. We don't. Like I said, I keep thinking of Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
We're the caveman party.
Yeah.
We don't know your fancy ways of finding your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Who knows how? We don't know that.
By the way, it works on every level. Think about it. Not just voter ID. On the border.
Yeah.
Well, who are you? I don't have any ID. No birth certificate? No. Well, of course, nobody actually has one. So go ahead. Come on in. The liberal transgender movement. Well, what were you assigned at birth? I don't know. I can't find my birth certificate. Of course. Nobody can find their birth certificate. That's right. Okay, so whatever you say you are, what do you say you are?
It applies to
It
everything.
works for the liberals for everything. So there you have it. I mean, you just, I identify as this person. Okay. Nate Bargatze made a joke about it in one of his stand-up specials about his name is Nathaniel, but on his ID it says Nate. And then whoever booked his flight put Nathaniel on the ticket. And Gary, as someone who flies frequently, that's going to cause problems at the airport. And Nate has this whole bit about it, And they put Nathan on the ticket. His name is Nathaniel.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes by Nate. Mm-hmm. And I think I can't remember what it said on his ID. It said something different. And of course, there's the block. So just choose a name. And he made the joke, hey, look, and this would be how liberals would think. I mean, it was a self-deprecating joke for Nate, but this is how they would think. Look, that's a picture of me right there on the ID. So that's me. That's not how you prove it. Yeah, that means a selfie is ID. Oh, that will be it. The blue states will say, okay, voter ID, all you need is a selfie to qualify.
Yeah.
That's how they'll do it.
I mean, I like how you came up with that, because it's really true. If everything revolves around a birth certificate, well, then you can basically justify
everything,
every insane, and it is insane.
Yeah.
Every insane policy, major policy that the Democrats want to do, including the radical transgender movement, open borders.
Right.
We don't know what sex we are.
Right.
We can't find our birth certificate.
Right.
So we get to self-identify since we don't have the capability of finding our birth certificate because we're a bunch of victim idiots. Victimization is now our idiocy.
Yeah.
All right, this is actually this is going to put us on this narrative now, probably for the next couple of years, of stupidity versus just common sense, or stupidity versus the rest of the public that has the basic knowledge to complete basic tasks. But the late mail ballots at the Supreme Court, most of the analysis is, they're going to overturn it. It can't be late.
Right.
And it's simply this, that the Founding Fathers and even Congress in the 1800s, when they passed this law, they looked at it and said there was no mail-in ballots. I mean, it was like, but they're not saying mail-in ballots are against the law on the federal election. What they're saying is it has to be in the hands of the Election Bureau on that day.
Right.
Because that's what, it's not in the mail, is not them having it. And according to the text of the law and what the intent was, because everybody was going to the polls, that Election Day means it has to be in possession of the government by Election Day.
Right.
By the end of Election Day. Not postmarked.
Right.
But
in the hands.
In the hands. Now, the liberals tried to debate that. Well, yeah, but they already filled it out. You know what it is. Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
Then
matter.
how far can you extend it out?
Right. Something gets lost in the mail, or a number of ballots get lost in the mail.
Right. If you have 1,000 ballots that get lost in the mail and show up 3 months later, do you change the election because they're legitimate ballots?
Right.
And so that's basically what it is. It's like, no, it has to be in the and early voting, there's no problem because they have it by Election Day.
Right.
Well, early voting is early voting is an Election Day. Well, it doesn't matter. It's in their hands by Election Day.
Right. The deadline is Election Day.
Right.
The ballot's in the officials' hands by Election Day. Full stop.
Right. Now, I have seen a lot of Republicans, I won't say necessarily conservatives, say, well, what we need to do, I think they were having this debate, was it the Five? I don't know. What one of the Fox shows was having it. And they were talking about what we need to do is, no, everybody goes to the poll on Election Day except military. And maybe special circumstances. You go to the poll, we make it a national holiday. And I'm like, no. National holiday. What does the national holiday mean?
No.
The private sector, for so many national holidays, you don't get the day off.
Right.
Only the federal government workers get the day off.
Right.
And maybe state workers or whatever. Only government gets a ton of these holidays off. And on Election Day, you'll still have companies go, no, if you need to go vote, go vote.
Right.
But we're not going to make it a day off.
Yeah, a lot of companies will do that just proactively. Look, if you want to go vote, get with your supervisor the day before, let them know you're going to go vote, and you'll be out during this time.
And look at this discrimination towards We Talk Show host. We couldn't leave in the middle of the show to go vote.
No, we can't.
We can't do. See how we're discriminated against?
This is why we should be able to vote on Facebook.
We're victims. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We're victims and oppressors at the same time because we have a clue. And if you have a clue, you're an oppressor these days because Democrats don't have a clue. We don't know how to get our birth certificate. Vote on Election Day without it being a holiday? We need the entire day off to go and vote.
I think there's discrimination against the night shift. You know?
Oh, yes.
I mean, post-COVID, nothing's open now after night, just convenience stores.
Yeah.
A few pharmacies and a few ERs.
All the places that charge more.
Exactly.
See? Price discrimination against the night shift.
That's right.
Right.
Banks aren't open. I mean, I know I can, do things on my phone, but I can't. I don't even know how to find my phone.
Well,
it's in my hand right now. I still don't know where it is. I mean, if they can play stupid, I can play stupid.
I don't know.
I'm pretty good at it.
My phone broke. What do I do? My car broke. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to find my birth certificate. Oh, my gosh. This is so much damn fun.
Oh, they're just making it easy. They just make it easy. But they want to get the narrative going because they want the rank and file going. We don't even know. Nobody even knows how to find their birth certificate. Nobody knows. Even our leaders don't know how to. Nobody knows. We all know that. We all know that we don't know. It's a big stupid party. Let's have a stupid party. Wow. So is it legal in every state now? Because
stupidity?
That too.
No. It's a right.
Stupidity is a right.
Stupidity is a right.
I have a right to not know what I don't know.
Right. You don't recognize my stupidity as a right. I have the right to be stupid.
Right.
Actually, you do.
Right. Life, liberty, stupidity, and the pursuit of something. I don't know what it is.
Edibles.
There you go. Well, that's happiness, isn't it? Bingo. Folks, drive safely.
That's where they got the term happy feet.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. That's all right. I'm sorry. That's a 70s reference.
Yeah. Let's get small.
The old
Steve Martin.
The old man is coming through here.
Yeah.
When I was young, that's what we called it.
Yeah. I was a kid listening to Steve Martin. He said, "Let's get small," and I was like, I don't even know what that means. And then later I figured out, oh, that's just Steve Martin being silly, the roadside test was, hey, can you fit into this balloon?
It's really interesting. I went to the doctor yesterday, my normal checkup.
Yeah.
And we got into a discussion because, my brother and sister are the full-time caretakers of my father.
Yeah.
And my brother and I have always been great together, but my brother just really got a cell phone and learned how to text in the last year.
Oh, okay.
My older brother. He just
All right.
didn't do it. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
We go back and forth every day. And being brothers, all you do is insult each other.
Yeah, rib each other. Yeah.
Every other text is,
Right.
You drunken slob, that kind of stuff that brothers do back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
And my brother is just, and it really is interesting going back and looking at old Hollywood as he's insulting me. He goes, you're just like, he got into, all the old celebrities and how much they used to drink and smoke. And I was talking to my doctor about that today. And, because every time he says, oh, your liver's in great shape. Really? And it was like, in my younger days, it's like, you thought you might have been over drinking.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go back and look at it, even in my college days, I was working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I might drink twice a month.
Right.
And, way back then. And then you look at those Hollywood celebrities. And my brother and I are he's obsessed. We're both going, look at this person. We look it up. He goes, what about this person? They died at 50.
Yeah.
And, it's like Michael Landon. I was talking to my doctor today. I said, what they used to smoke and drink is unbelievable. Michael Landon, 4 packs of cigarettes a day, and he started drinking in the morning and drank all day. I remember his last appearance on Johnny Carson when I went, oh, man, a guy's so healthy who's going to die because we knew he was going to die.
Right.
And he just looked so healthy. He was thin and had a full head of hair.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. He was lucky he lived till 50 with what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just a thing of that my brother and I just find very interesting that they all wore suits. And my brother goes, they all wore suits and they were buzzed all day, but they were very professional in doing it.
Well, there's
like my brother. I go, you're becoming a stand-up comedian.
Well, what was the Hollywood Squares? So what they would do, they still do this on game shows. They film an entire season in like a week or 2, right? So what they do is they film several episodes in a day. Like, I don't know how many it is now, but back then they would do 2 or 3 a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would say you could tell which were the ones where, they'd film an episode or 2, go to lunch, and then come back. Because when everybody's laughing, they went to, the 3 martini lunch thing. It was just common to go drink at lunch. Yeah. For celebrities especially. Not every one of them, but a number of them. You look at old.
I remember when I worked at the bank, and if you were the employee of the month, the bosses took you out to drink.
Wow.
Could you imagine that happening in this day and age?
No.
Yeah, it's like,
not at all.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
Luckily, I was never the employee of the month too often.
According to me, I was.
I might not have survived that. But you look at, I brought it up because the other thing I saw is that bars, drinking's way down with young people.
Yeah.
Is it
it's
edibles?
Not a thing.
Is it edibles, or are they just not doing anything?
I don't. Maybe they're just doing other things, or maybe nothing. I don't know what the trend is. We do see fentanyl, of course, the overdoses and all that. But yeah,
we are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Spring is here, and grilling season for many is not too far behind. That means more consumer demand for meat. And in the case of livestock analysts like USDA's Michael McConnell, seeing how that translates to activity in cattle feedlots.
That's typically when we see marketings and slaughter rates begin to increase. That's something to look forward to as we begin to track the pace of slaughter as we head into the grilling season.
USDA's March Cattle on Feed report shows inventory in feedlots is slightly lower than the same time last year. Yet McConnell points out,
due to the fact that our marketings have been down and placements have been lower, one of the implications I have is that more of the cattle that are in feedlots now are tilted more towards animals that have been on feed for more than 150 days. So a lot more animals that are market ready in those feedlots right now. So as we come up to that seasonal period where beef comes in higher demand, there will be a fair number of cattle in those feedlots that are ready to come out and be marketed and processed into beef to satisfy the grilling season demand.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Interesting. I really don't take much yet out of, and we'll have more specific details coming up on this story. The Trump administration, Politico has as quietly weighing Iran's parliament speaker as a potential partner and even a future leader. This is from Politico. Remember, there's been no direct negotiations between the United States and Iran. Now, We've had 5 different other foreign countries that we'll get into here following the bottom of the hour that are having preliminary negotiations with the Iranian Guard.
Yeah, right.
Republican Guard.
Right.
We'll get to that coming up.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. And good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Coming up in a minute and a half, is there a possible deal between the United States and Iran and the other countries in the Middle East? We'll get to that.
I love the warm weather, getting some things done. That's what I love about it, getting outside more, and I can do that without the aches and pains of, trying to overcome what I just did. Really, the aches and pains after chores in the past were really bad. For me, especially in my hips and in my joints, I could feel that after working even just a few hours outside. I would feel that for days. Not anymore, thanks to Relief Factor. This is what I want for you. You can do something about your pain. You can do something about your pain. And Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that was designed, created to help your body's natural inflammatory response function. I take it every day. I suggest you do too, because I want you to get the same benefits. 4 key ingredients working for you, and here's how we get you started. Relief Factor's 3-week quick start, just $19.95. And all you have to do is visit relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF, or go to relieffactor.com and use Red Eye at the drop-down for your 3-week quick start at $19.95.
A couple minutes ago, I said Republican. I was thinking of Iraq. I said Republican.
Republic. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No. The Republican Guard.
You said Republican Guard.
Yeah, that's Iraq, not the Revolutionary Guard.
Revolutionary Guard, yes.
Which is in Iran. I caught myself.
Okay.
I caught myself.
All right, okay. All right.
But this from Politico. There's a couple of stories out there. First, the Trump administration is quietly weighing Iran's parliament speaker as a potential partner or even future leader as the president signals a shift from military pressure towards a negotiated endgame. Mohammed Ghalibaf, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not, the 64-year-old who has repeatedly threatened the U.S. and its allies with retaliation, is seen by at least some in the White House as a workable partner who could lead Iran and negotiate with the Trump administration in the war's next phase, according to 2 administration officials. But the White House is not ready to commit to any one person, hoping to stress test multiple candidates as they look for someone willing to make a deal, said the 2 people who granted anonymity to describe internal thinking. He's a hot option, one administration official said, cautioning that no decisions have been made. He's one of the highest, but we've got to test them, and we cannot rush into it. The administration's interest in pinpointing a negotiating partner signals a desire to find some way out of the Iran war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said these are sensitive diplomatic discussions, and the United States will not negotiate through the news media. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal had an article, The Back-Channel Diplomacy Behind Trump's U-Turn on Iran. I don't know if it's necessarily a U-turn.
I don't think it's a U-turn.
Well, we don't know yet because we don't know anything.
We don't know we don't know where it's going.
Well, I don't know what the administration wants to negotiate.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I think it was a National Review that said, got to be transparent. You got to let us know what the goal is.
I mean, I guess if they're saying on the deadline, the U-turn, but I would just say that's a pause. Again, I don't know that that's a complete turnaround here.
No, they meant. I think they meant on the war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or the fact that we're not going to negotiate.
Well, because the subheadline reads: the president backtracked on his threat to strike Iran's power plants after a series of closed-door discussions led by Middle Eastern intermediaries.
That's not a U-turn.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It could be, but we don't know whether it is because we don't know the details.
Well, again, if they think they are making progress, then you keep the talks going.
But what's the progress?
Yeah.
What's
the goal?
What is the end game for the United States? Now, what we were told in the 8-minute speech that he made at the beginning was for the people to uprise and to have a democratic government.
Yeah, right.
I said Democrat. No, you don't want that. That could be worse.
No.
But just getting in here, he goes, foreign ministers from Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan gathered before dawn Thursday in Riyadh for talks aimed, this is last week, at a diplomatic off-ramp to the war in Iran. But there was one big problem, according to Arab officials involved in the discussions, finding a counterpart in Iran to negotiate with. Earlier that week, Israel killed Iran's national security chief, who had been considered a viable partner who could engage with the West. Egyptian intelligence officials managed to open a channel with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the paramilitary group that protects the Iranian regime and is the country's most powerful security and political entity, and put forward a proposal to halt hostilities for 5 days to build confidence for a ceasefire, some of the officials said. Those discussions laid the groundwork for an abrupt reversal more than 7,000 miles away in Florida. On Saturday night, the president, who spent the weekend in Florida, gave Iran an ultimatum to reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, or the U.S. military would obliterate the country's power plants. 2 days later, as word of discussions in Riyadh made its way to the White House, Trump reversed course, embracing diplomacy with Tehran and putting his threatened strikes on hold. Look, when he said that to begin with, I went, are they taking that as a bluff? Because one of the things, as we have said earlier, the administration was even talking about, the president was, we don't want to take out the infrastructure because we want the people to be behind us. If you're taking out their power generation plants, are you hurting the people or are you hurting the regime?
Right.
It's left.
Yeah.
That's one of the questions. But none of this has been answered for us. We don't know. And they're not going to tell us until they come to some type of conclusion on it. But there's not much I can say because I don't know right now what the president wants.
Yeah, I don't know what the end game here, what the goal is here.
Right.
The president was asked about the new supreme leader yesterday, and he was saying, look, we don't know where he is. We actually don't know at all because there hasn't been any appearance. You saw, he's called the cardboard Ayatollah.
Yeah.
It's because they had some praising of a cutout, a cardboard cutout. I thought, man, they totally don't have AI, do they? But that would be the question. Who is in charge? Where is that? This, for me, this looks like exactly what we talked about early on. Just as a layman here, you have to find out who's the most loyal. You have to find out how deep the roots are. And then, beyond that, if there are conversations that are happening, where does it lead? Who's in charge right now? And I don't know if they know. The question is, I don't know if they know which of those who are remaining at the top is most loyal and also trustworthy. Frankly, for me, I wouldn't trust any of them. But at some point, you have to decide, is there a way for this to be the regime being pushed out the door if we do have an agreement with whoever's in charge? And again, it's impossible to know.
I found the article, and it's Dan McLaughlin, National Review. War with Iran, to be worth it, needs to produce undeniable change that does not require intelligence analysts to explain. A little over 3 weeks into the war against Iran, and we still don't know what victory looks like. That's a problem because victories need to be clearly visible to the ordinary citizen. That's important not only to the Republicans' political popularity, but as a matter of the democratic legitimacy of our foreign policy. That concern is heightened when wars are waged entirely on the basis of an executive decision without Congress. I would disagree with him on that. Obviously, in the 8 minutes, they laid out what they wanted.
Yeah.
He laid out what he wanted. He said to the Iranian people, the goal will be at the proper moment to come out and take over your government in order to get the government you want, which would be a democracy. A lot of talks about the former Shah's, former Shah's son in a transition government is victory. This is the whole point. Is victory. Are they just looking for somebody to negotiate with in order to say, our terms are, you're out? If the term is, and we looked at all these possibilities, the possibility could be, no, we've done as much damage where they won't be a nuclear power for years. We're going to allow this prime minister to stay in and still have the same oppressive government?
Well, here's the thing that the way it played out for Venezuela, and they're very different situations. But in Venezuela, Maduro's right hand had control of the military and the oil. But the opposition leader that Trump would have rather have had installed in Venezuela to take over and bring greater freedom didn't have control of either. And so the deal was made to, look, you get her on the phone. And by the end of the day, by the way, she was singing a different tune completely, literally, than what she had hours before, saying we're working with the Trump administration now. And
our embassy opened up.
And the embassy opened up. So the question would be, all right, look, you don't even have to go into exile. You play nice, but we control the game here, every move. And if you sneeze in the wrong direction, we'll know it. And so in controlling the exports and controlling, eventually an election, I guess, again, depending on what the end game would be, but basically the will of the people eventually being done.
Well, it's like the Trump administration is quietly weighing Iran's parliament speaker as a potential partner, because I also saw that on social media. Well, no, what he's saying is, you will get to lead the transition with the approval of the United States, and may there be a coalition of all those countries we just mentioned that will be also a part of it.
Well, that's why this is so much bigger than the Venezuela thing. If you think about it, it's the fact that there's other Middle Eastern nations watching on going, no, we want regime change too. And, of course, it's not just the U.S. and Israel here. It's if you look at this, if there is truly a coalition, a transition coalition, and the end game for anyone left in the regime at the top would be you sit quietly, you behave, you don't get out of line, no attacks, nothing, and you allow for this transition to happen, and there's no exile for you. You're just not going to be in power eventually, likely.
Well, I think one of the things that changed the world and even Europe on this was the firing of the ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia, the island.
Yeah.
Now, it neither hit, but the potential and the distance was more than what the world believed. It might not have been what the CIA believed, but now it's public.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's public where Iran can hit Europe.
Yeah, right.
Iran has the potential to hit Great Britain.
Yeah.
That changes everything at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did see, too, with the Strait of Hormuz, where it was, well, the president saying we'd like to have a deal where we and Iran will monitor what goes on in Hormuz, where you say, okay, we're still going to allow you under a transition government or whatever to have your say, but in essence, it's a partnership between. You're setting up what you eventually want. It won't be there tomorrow, but you're setting up, this is what we want in order to do it. We want to be partners in the change of your government.
Right. Yeah.
But we don't know what the United States red line is in negotiations. We don't know. We have no idea.
Right.
And they haven't. Now, we know what the president's goal was early on, but we don't know what the red line is now.
Right.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So until we know what the red line is, this is it. This is as far as we will negotiate.
Yeah.
We don't know. There's no way to even look at this and say, you're going to have again both sides making statements, but I can see the critics coming out and saying he's flipped on this. Already saw the taco signs.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No,
because
this situation is unlike any other we've ever seen.
Right.
In history, and it's going to be very fluid. Even if they come back and say, even if both sides came back and said, we've got the framework, they use that on Capitol Hill a lot, we've got the framework, it's still, we don't know where it's going.
Right.
And that's a fact.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.